Yes, welcome back, Maggie. You know, I feel so empowered now that I can place you right to the right spot in Makhuduthamaga.
Yes.
You know, one thing I always say about this type of a conversation on this platform is that you almost feel guilty that you didn't do your work enough to know people.
Yeah.
This thing of us just meeting at the professional level and we talk Sekgowa and, you know, we don't go deeper, which is in our tradition, and actually you get to know people.
And it's so true. I mean, I belong to a book club.
Yeah.
For the past 3 months already, I've read my own Liberator Yerhang. I have read Betting on a Ducky, on a
Ducky, yeah.
Yamteto. I'm now reading boardroom dance. This lady, Lolita.
Yes.
It's amazing. I mean, Lolita, it's almost like we were raised by the same parents. We grew exactly the same way, word for word.
Wow.
It's amazing that it sounds like that history of where we come from is the foundation of where we find ourselves today. I feel like we were more privileged than our children.
Yeah. Wow. Interesting stuff. Yeah.
That's my feeling.
Yeah.
So before you left, you were asking me about my career.
Yes. I wanted us to start talking about the journey in your corporate life, starting from the teaching.
I started teaching in 1989, a year just after my daughter was born. My daughter was born in 1988, and then I completed the same year. I started teaching January, I think the 13th of January, if I remember, as a teacher. But I was just telling you that the 12th in the evening, I said to my husband, tomorrow the schools are opening. I don't even know where am I going to teach. I remembered that my father's friend, Ludwig Matabata, stays Luwahumun, I don't know where.
Yeah.
I phoned my father. If you remember, there were these phones, not cell phones, the phones at home.
Yes.
My father said, no, I've got the number. He gave me his number. I phoned him. I went to meet with him. He said to me, please come to school tomorrow.
Wow.
I went. When I got there, I was the first woman, the youngest, to teach maths matric in that school.
Which school was that?
Thagaetala High School.
Oh, that's where I just spoke to her recently. That went.
I told
Rahab went to Thagaetala.
Rahab is my student.
Wow.
She knows me very. She actually took me there through her social responsibility programs.
Yes.
I went there and she even gave me an honor.
We had her on the platform 2 weeks ago.
Oh, I think I saw you advertising her.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, yes. I
wow.
think I saw her. No, she knows me very, very well. She was a student when I was a teacher there.
My goodness, this is a small world, man.
Yeah.
And now you are colleagues in the IPM.
Yes. When I got there, youngest teacher, a woman, and maths class. Everything I heard about that maths class was it was worse than, I don't know what I can say. I mean, it was almost like I'm going into a terror class, some terror of some sort. Everybody was telling me how difficult teaching maths at the school is, and the boys are going to undermine me. Let me tell you, Sam, up to today, I can tell you, I believe I was one of the most respected teachers at that school. Wow. I went back home. I studied maths as if it's me who's going to write exams the following day. Because I wanted to make sure that the first day, because we the first week is registration, and the following week, Monday, you all have to be ready to teach. I remember going into the class, not having a book in my hand, just having a white chalk to go and write on the blackboard. I taught without a book. That day, I won the confidence of the kids. Up to the day, 7 years later, when I left the school, I was one of the respected teachers at that school.
Wow, sure.
And I think one of the teachers, when I left, because I remember on my graduation day, one of the teachers someone gave a speech and said to me, Maggie, the books you read at school and the reality of our black schools, it's two separate things. When you get there, you're going to find 100 kids in one class. You must know their names. You must know where they come from. You must respect them, and they will respect you. I remember up to this day, when I coach any teacher or anyone, I tell them, you must know the child's names and know even where they come from, know their mother's names. I tell you, Sam, the first 3 months I spent reciting the names of the children. I even forced them not to move desks because it was easy for me. I didn't tell them why, but it was easy for me to remember where Philip sat, where Rankotana sits, where this one sits, where this one does what. And I took it upon my shoulder to know some of them, to even know their boyfriends.
Wow. And
know their mother's names. Because if they didn't do my homework, I'll say to them, when I join, I'm going to tell Sam that you're not doing it. You must hear the laugh in the class. That's I enjoyed my teaching year, Sam. I organized contests. I organized beauty contests. I organized fun. I used to ask the teachers to go and ask, those little papers where you ask for donations. They will refuse. I'll take it upon my shoulder every day. I'll stand and walk around in town and ask for donations to come and close the school and just have fun in the school so that it's not a boring school. I did that on my own. That's how much I enjoyed the school. Wow. I produced the first distinction in maths at the school. Unfortunately, Shem, the boy didn't do well. He came to Beds. He did 2 degrees. And I think, because he was studying law and engineering at the same time, and I know at some stage he went into some stress or some depression state, and then he ended up not doing anything. I don't know where he is now, but he was so clever. But I know I've got one who is a physiotherapist. If I'm not mistaken, there's one also who is a medical doctor. There was a boy who passed on who used to be a singer, and he used to go to the same church as Mpomagwana. He passed on early this year or late last year. I also taught him. So after 7 years, my husband, when we got married, and then at 1995, my husband applied for a job in Johannesburg because I always told him I want to leave teaching. But he's always said, for you to leave teaching, you can only go to Johannesburg. It's not easy to do that in Limpopo because the biggest employer in Limpopo is government. Yes. So if you really want to move into corporate, we need to leave Johannesburg. I mean, I really have a husband that, if I look back, he's always done sacrifice for my sake. He always sacrificed for my sake. When SARS started, remember, SARS started in 1995. Yes. He was among the first employees that started SARS. So he moved to Johannesburg, and then now I had to ask myself, am I coming to Johannesburg to come and teach, or do I need to find an employment? And then I saw an advert in the newspaper. They were looking for a managing editor for African languages, but at that time they were looking for someone with a strong Sepedi background and English background. To be honest, I did up to Sepedi, up to I think course 2 at the university. I didn't like Sepedi.
Yeah.
All, because I never had a great teacher of Sepedi. So it was never been, languages were never my greatest strength. I don't believe, I only had a very good Afrikaans teacher, but I had attitude towards Afrikaans. So I almost don't count it in the list of languages that I know. So Sepedi also wasn't, even though I grew up from a Sepedi family, at school it wasn't like my biggest thing. But that job required someone with a good Sepedi background. I took a chance, I applied, I came from an interview. I know you know Queen Ramotsela.
Queen Ramotsela?
She's the coach. Queen.
I don't think we know each other.
No, she's in coaching.
Is it? Ramotsela, yeah. Okay.
Yes, Queen. Queen was the managing editor. She was managing editors. Came for an interview at next to, what's this place? Xavier Road. What is that place there? You offered Xavier Road. Not far from where the post office used to be.
Oh yeah, in the Gold Reef City area.
Yes. I went there for an interview. I never even thought they would take me because I met someone I know who was busy with masters in Sepedi. Yeah. But somehow I was appointed in the job. I was shocked. I was shocked. But let me tell you, Sam, I took a salary cut of more than 3,000 from teaching into publishing, into private sector. But within 3 years of being in private sector, I was back earning the salary that I used to earn before. Wow. It wasn't an easy move to Johannesburg. I'm a very family-oriented. I love being around my own family, my parents, my sisters. I mean, I have beautiful in-laws. We were not staying far from each other because my husband comes from Svidiela. So the Bochum in Svidiela was really just a drive away. So I see. Every weekend we'll spend weekends together. So for me to live that type of a life coming to Johannesburg, it wasn't an easy ask, I can tell you. It was tough for me to come here. But look, the good thing was it was now taking me into corporate world. I worked for publishing for about a solid 2 years. The first year, I was a trainee editor for 4 months, then an editor, then a senior editor. Then I got another job I started with Maswiakae Longman. Then I got another job with, I saw an advert, they were looking for a managing editor for all the African languages. At Heinemann, I applied for it. I got a job the following year. And I worked at Heinemann. I loved it. Within 6 months, I was promoted to commissioning editor. So I can tell you within 2 years of my corporate years, I had already received 5 promotions. Wow. That just tells you the hard work that I really, I really worked hard. And I think I impressed every leader that I worked with. I was promoted. And then one day, I used to attend this tribute. You remember?
The tribute forums.
Yes.
The tribute forums in Braamfontein.
And then, but from there they moved to Balalaika, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Somewhere in Sandton. Because the first one I attended, it was in Sandton.
Yeah.
Then the guest speaker was the Minister of Education. Then. I don't know what you used to call them at that time. And they asked a question relating to education and the OBE. Remember publishing?
Yes.
They had just started outcome-based education. Yeah. And they asked the minister, and I don't remember the name of the minister, but you know, these people understand it when they write these things, but they don't.
Was it not the first minister was Professor Bengu?
I think it was him. I don't remember. It was during that guy who used to be the editor of a tribute. What was his name?
Yeah, I can see him.
You remember the one? Yeah. So they asked a question. The way it was answered, I thought, I work with these things in publishing. And it was such a good question. I raised my hands and I answered that question. And when I came out, there was a lady called Yvette coming from IBM who attended that session. She took my number. She just liked the way I answered. We connected. You know, the networking time. Yes. I took a number. She took my number. And then we left. I mean, I don't know why I was taking a number, but she took my number. She left. She went back to IBM. I went back to Heinemann. As I was working one day, I mean, within a month or so, I got a call from her saying IBM wants to get into training similar to Microsoft certified programs, where they want to start IBM certified program. It's an Indian model which they want to introduce in South Africa, where they turn kids that have done BCom, science, who cannot be employed, into becoming IT gurus. It scared me, Sam, because I did not understand education and publishing and IT. Where do they meet? Yes. But she was adamant that because I've got educational background, this is not the technical side they will teach me. I mean, I met with her. I went to IBM, I remember. I met with her and I met with some Indian guy, I don't remember the name. And then the following day, they called me to come and take an offer letter.
Wow.
I didn't have a clue of what is it that I was going to do. And then they made me to meet with a company called Lechabile. I don't know whether you remember Lechabile.
Yeah, it was their BE partner.
Yes.
Yes, I remember their,
Yes, so that program was in partnership with Lechabile. But there was a guy by the name of Simon Doro. He's the father to Lerato Ndoro, the HR director of Avon, where I worked. So Simon, I was going to report to Simon. And he was a very good guy. I mean, he was a very smart guy. I think I tell a lot of people that today I can do beautiful presentations, and he was a smart guy. I mean, IBM, that's why IBM allowed people like him and Winston and other 5 guys to go and be business partners, because IBM, as you know, they wouldn't just allow anyone to be a partner to go and sell their product if they didn't trust who they are. So I happened to be in that team, so I was based at Lechabile. And then that project was a partnership between IBM, Lechabile, and Boston. You know, then I did not understand what culture meant. Today I understand. I think what made the whole relationship not work, it was a culture thing. Remember, IBM is corporate. Lechabile was really following IBM's values, how they did things. So you could say they mimic what IBM was. And Boston was a Jewish school. She was really looking at profit making. So I think the two cultures somewhere clashed. And then that project was absorbed back into IBM, and it became a social responsibility project. Versus, if you remember, it was one day in the newspaper where people said we were sitting on the road, they promised us something and it was never done. It was that project. So when that project was absorbed into IBM, I met, I used to go and ask employment for these kids. I mean, some of them today, they've done very, very well. Very well. That project was very good. If it had flown, it's just that in South Africa, it was very expensive when we started it. But those kids that managed to study it, I mean, they did very, very well. We've got there's kids, Mukonza kids, I don't know whether you know them. They started a beautiful IT training institution. I was introduced by Tsidi Nyama. They were introduced to me by Tsidi because Tsidi was supporting them financially, and I had to step in and support Tsidi as much as and they've done very well. I mean, they did very, very well as individual. I'm just giving you those examples.
Yeah.
And as I was going around, I even went to IBM itself to go and ask that can they not pay for some of these kids and also employ some of them when they sell some of their products. So I met with Tirelo. I don't know whether you know Tirelo Spisi. She's currently the HR director of Anglo Ashanti.
Mm-hmm.
I met with her. At that time, the HR director was Mpholekape. I'm sure you know him.
I know Mpholekape,
Yeah. So I met with Tirelo. As we were meeting, I said to Tirelo, I want one day, I wish one day I can come and work for IBM instead of working for a business partner. She said, how, are you looking for employment? I said, yes, I would love to. She said, okay, bring your CV. When I got in the office, I sent my CV to her. The following day, I was called for an interview. The following day, I was given an offer letter.
Wow.
To come and work for IBM.
You know, there is something missing in you, Maggie. And that is, you have not been interviewed and grow blue in the face and you don't know how it feels not to go for 10 interviews and get no job.
No, I promise you, I've been so blessed. And that's why I'm saying I've never applied for a job. You'll hear the story.
Wow.
Then I came into IBM. I mean, you can imagine I was very, very raw in HR. Raw like...
So this was HR job?
Yes.
Sure.
And a serious job.
Wow.
I mean...
What level of HR was that? Was it the admin or was it...
A real specialist, not even a junior job.
Sure.
But because of my educational background, because of me working a lot on the graduate program, 70% of my job was around graduate programs at IBM. But you can imagine that gave me an opportunity to do recruit graduate, manage, train. So it was almost like an end-to-end HR job, but more like operational.
But then you know, working for companies like IBM, they are the in-house training. Such organizations, it's much better than even what you'll get at the universities.
Not even in-house training only, but online training.
Yes.
I mean, I used to sit until 12 o'clock in the office because I never had a laptop then. And they had an HR academy online. I read every little word. I mean, a lot of people in my consulting think I've been an OD specialist, I've been a training specialist, I've been this specialist, and it's all because IBM has an amazing training infrastructure. But I can tell you, having worked with Mpholekape, Tirelo, I mean, Mpo is one person that, it's one leader I still have to, Mpo and Dudu. Those two leaders, they believe in you even if you yourself, you don't believe in yourself.
Yeah.
They pushed me beyond boundaries. I remember Mpo saying to me and Tirelo, next week you're going to US, have you packed? It was my first international trip. I didn't even know what am I going to do. I didn't even know what New York...
You're going to the headquarters.
You're going straight to New York. I mean, flying from New York to Boston, from Boston to North Carolina. North Carolina, that's where the engineering of IBM sits. We were there. We were thrown deep end. I learned every little thing. And then one day, a very smart guy who used to run training left. I will read you. I will at the end. I'll read you the message I read at his funeral. Mpo called me in his office and said, "Maggie, you are the last battle of the company." This was the smartest guy. I mean, I watched him when he did our induction program because IBM induction program was solid 5 days. It was amazing. This guy knew every little thing about IBM. 3 months down the line, I was told I'm going to be less battle. I didn't know somehow this is going to be because this guy knew IBM in and out. I didn't see how someone who has been 3 months with the company will understand IBM the way he understands it. I can tell you, Mpho already had arranged with Les that you are going to make sure that Maggie runs this like you do in the next 3 months. And we planned it out. He said to me, Maggie, the first month you will come, sit in my induction, watch me, work with me, word for word, see how I prepare. I followed I followed him wherever he went. Because wherever he was going, I was going with him to go and see what he does, how he does it. And the training I had, he was also heading the IBM training, and that was also going to be my responsibility. Sure. I didn't understand how, but, Mpho said, Maggie, you've got people around you. I don't understand why you should be worried. That was another eye-opener for me to realize that, sometimes you don't have to know everything. For as long as you've got people around you, it's something that you need to hold on to. And that's the reason why you see me today loving coaching and mentoring so much, because I'm the product of coaching and mentoring. My 5 years at IBM was amazing. Mpho left, I cried because I didn't know, will there be another leader that comes in and look after me like Mpho did? And when Mpho left, Dudu was on assignment. Dudu had to come down, Dudu Nyamani, to come and take over. I promise you, Dudu continued with the same journey. She also just trusted me and believed in me.
Wow.
5 years, I was loving my life at IBM, I can tell you. I enjoyed
I need to sit with them to find out what was driving them to do what they did to people like you, because
I think definitely you must sit with Mpho and Dudu. You if you read Mtoto's book, it's exactly the same. That's how Mtoto went in, and Mpho just said, we're looking for any smart person to come. My English wasn't the cleanest English. I came from rural, came back from teaching, but somehow Mpho saw something deeper.
The girl from Maswiakae.
Maswiakae, she saw more than what you can ever imagine. And
have you ever had time to give her this feedback?
Yes, she knows. We're still very close. Even today, we were congratulating Snare and Tirelo. They've just been nominated by the Kiro.
Yes.
They've just been nominated. And both, Snare worked with Mpho at Sasol.
Yes.
And Tirelo and I worked with Mpho at IBM. These are the fruits of healthy work. I can tell you the fruits of Mpho. There are so many, and I don't feel we have acknowledged it enough, I can tell you.
Wow.
And 6 years down the line, one day, there was a lady that used to work for IBM by the name of Dolores. She called me and said, Maggie, every time she was doing search, she was running a search firm. And then she said, there's this company which says she wants someone with energy, someone with passion, someone strong in HR, and they're looking for the HR director. The current HR director wants to retire, but they've said you can't retire without first finding your successor. That was Getty Simelane. I don't know whether you know Getty. Getty Simelane.
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll know her when you see her.
Yes.
You can go on our website, you'll see her. I'm with her.
Oh, she's your partner?
Yes.
Okay.
And this lady said the company is direct selling. And I thought, me leaving direct selling and going to join, leaving IT, a global company.
Global giant.
Global giant, top in the world, top brand in the world. The share price were up there, and now I'm going to join some direct selling company. It doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't. I promise you I was not interested. But Dolores, being Dolores, she forced. Said, Nick, just go meet with them, just have tea with them. I went, met with Katie, I remember in Sandton. We had tea. I just loved Katie. Her humbleness. She knew HR in and out. And she said, I worked with this company for more than 7 years.
And she was the person that was leaving.
Sorry?
She was the person that was leaving the company.
Yes, she was the person that was going to resign. She said, no, Avon came to South Africa, bought Justine. I'm now done with the measure. It still needs, they've signed up. Now I need someone to come and create 2 brands, 1 company, 1 culture. I've seen it all. I don't think I'm the right person to do that. But also, I really want to leave and go and do something new. I thought, Katie, there's no way in which I can leave the blue chip and come to some direct selling company. She said, she never listened. She organized the interviews with global people, came down. I met with them. I met with so many. That was the real interview now. Because they were worried whether I'm going to fit, especially coming from technology into direct selling.
Yeah.
At the end, I can tell you, Sam, they threw money. They made sure I leave IBM to come and join them. And indeed, I left IBM. I joined Avon. What a beautiful career. I tell people that at IBM, I think I truly understood what HR is all about. And at Avon, they gave me an opportunity to showcase my knowledge from an HR perspective. They really, really utilized my expertise. They really wanted to make sure that HR partners, when they talk about the strategic role of HR, Avon is just that. There within 6 months. So if I want to tell you, Sam, within 6 years of my career in HR, I became an HR director. At Avon? At Avon.
Yeah.
The 5 years with IBM, my 6th year, I was at Avon. Within actually 5.5 months, I became an HR. 5 years and 6 months, I became an HR director. Of the years that I've been in HR. So I think the amount of knowledge that I acquired within a short space of time, I didn't see it. I didn't really see it making it difficult for me.
One will think that you have graduated from a degree in HR.
Yes, definitely, I did. I did. And while I was at IBM, I didn't tell you, they also registered me to do MEP at VETS. So I finished my MEP, and then I continued with a formal HR diploma with UNISA. Because it wasn't going to be enough to say, I've studied this at IBM without a formal certificate.
Yeah.
So I did that. Then I became an HR director, and I can tell you, by then, I don't know which part of the world I've never been. And at IBM, I had done everything. Outsourcing, acquisitions, leading the transformation of HR to a shared service center, to really creating business partnering models, leading career management skills and professional levels, to make sure that when we talk about certain levels, especially IBM being a consulting firm, you want to make sure that every level, if we are talking about a Ben 10, a senior client relationship executive, who if you call them, there are 5 of them, they must all be operating and really having the same experience, the same qualification. It was such an experience for me to run a project like those. So I was really blessed at IBM. Avon, the same. Katie trusted me day one. She was just there. 9 months after me joining the company, 6 months HR director, 3 months after me being appointed as an HR director, she left the company. But she said, Maggie, don't worry, I'm with you. She left me with Avon.
So you connected from day one with her?
no, up to today, we are like a sister in a I don't know. It's like we are born by the same mother.
Wow.
Up to today, we worked so well together, so well together.
How big is Avon, and was it then?
Oh, it was big. So Avon, Justine was, Avon was still growing in the country. Justine, remember they were manufacturing cradle to grave. So we had more than 1,000 employees, close to 2,000 if I'm not mistaken. But we had to sell this, create one structure, one head, because when I joined, it was double everything, double finance director, double supply chain, and the other one was manufacturing locally, the other one...
Oh, so they had acquired local operations.
Yes, they had acquired. So I had to match the two companies, create the brand, still remain with the brands, but create one company, one culture. That was the main thing. I mean, what an amazing journey. I stayed with Avon for about 6 years, and I can tell you, up to today, I'm proud to say the basic and the foundation we laid made Avon South Africa up to today to be a number one market all over the world globally.
Wow.
I mean, Avon...
And I can imagine that for such type of a company that is a direct selling, even though you are HR, you're very close to the products, right?
No, people used to be confused whether I'm in HR or I'm in sales.
Yeah.
Up to today, I still sell Avon as if I work for Avon, Justine. I'm using every product of Avon, Justine.
And then they don't distribute. They don't distribute through agents. It's all people selling directly, and they deliver.
Yes, you sell directly, but now they partnered with a courier company that couriers to different. But remember, when I started, direct selling wasn't big in rural areas.
Yes.
So we had to really grow that a lot. I mean, I remember in a meeting saying to them, guys, in Sandton, it's easy to say a salesperson is going to sell here and they can deliver like this. But in Ga-Mphahlele, the only delivery you have to talk about a stone and a tree and a mountain. And how to get post office to be directed by a tree and a mountain.
Yeah.
So we had to really think hard. What does that mean for a salesperson in Johannesburg who stays in a suburb and a salesperson at Ga-Mphahlele, where I come from? We had to think about those things a lot.
And tell me, was Avon the last company you worked for?
No.
Let's cover the others, because I want the last episode to be focused on your entrepreneurship.
I happened to go attend another dinner. I sat next to Tom Bodman.
Wow.
And Tom, at that time, that's when they were busy merging the 4 banks. And she said, they really want black people at the top, especially ladies. And I said, look, I'm still loving Avon. I don't think I'm ready to leave.
Yes.
But, and there was an opportunity to transform group technology Nedbank. And the board was very clear, we need to go out and find black people.
Was that during the time of Lot and Clofu?
Yes, Lot actually appointed me into IBM.
Wow, into Nedbank.
Yes. So I was the head of group technology. I stayed there for 2 years. I can tell you I drove change for the 2 years that I've been there. I was headhunted by Coca Cola South Africa to come and lead the HR function during the preparation of the World Cup, pre-World Cup, during World Cup, and post-World Cup.
Tell me, just at Nedbank, how long were you there?
2 years.
Oh, okay. Well, that was short.
Yes, short, but very, very impactful. Because remember, I joined when the culture for group technology was somewhere else. And when I left, the entropy was 11, from 30-something to 11. So
the mandate was to transform the organization.
Yes. Yes.
So you were head of HR though?
Yes, group technology. I was reporting directly to Shelly. And Shelly was still there.
Okay.
Yes. I was, but remember, it's a decentralized model. So HR directors for different segments were responsible for their HR. So I was the head of group technology. Yeah.
Wow.
So
you have given me quite a lot. You have given me quite a lot of interesting links to conclude your story. So I need to talk to Mpo, I need to talk to Dutu, I need to talk to Shelly, and I need to talk to Gedi.
Yes.
Then Maggie's story will be complete.
Yeah, I think. I mean, the three bosses, Mpo, maybe just to come to was the conclusion of my life. I mean, my career. My last job was Coca Cola South Africa.
Yes.
I was there for 2.5 years.
Yes.
And then I left to go on my own. Going on my own has always been my interest. My biggest, because as you heard, how I
want us to, that is going to be my next episode to close the whole discussion.
Yes. So maybe just to wrap up my episode, I think
I want to know what did you do at Coca Cola?
I was the HR director
for the group.
So yes, for the group, yeah.
So will you say that was really the pinnacle of your corporate career?
You know, I'm a Christian also. One thing I didn't tell you, I love my Christianity. I think God crafted my life, my career, in such a way that it's aligned with my aspiration of starting my own career. So if I was to summarize for you my career, at IBM, it gave me the technical expertise of every area in depth. Avon gave me an opportunity to practice what I've learned at IBM. Nedbank embedded my practice, especially, there was a rationale why I really joined Nedbank. I had never really worked for a South African company. So that was for me to understand transformation. What does that mean? Because multinational, they don't talk transformation the way we talk about it in South Africa.
Yes.
And I tell you, that was the best move that I've ever made. And I can tell you, I was also the what can I say? I think I experienced the pain of transformation at Nedbank. My salary was very high when I joined Nedbank. I can tell you, it was a talk of town. My experience wasn't the best. And I think not only in terms of how I related and how we related, but I also played a role in that. If you ask me what was it, influence was not the strength of mine. You know, when you grew up quickly, there's some what can I call it? Some blind spot.
Yes.
If you ask me, Maggie, today, what have you learned? But also, I really appreciated the experience because it taught me that at the top, it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. That's what I learned at Nedbank. If I had never worked for Nedbank, I would have never. I was just myself. Everyone made their own assumptions around what they think about me. But the good thing is, if you're a Christian, you stand firm around the values that you belong to. And I can tell you, it was a mixture of pain and celebrations at the same time. I think personally, it took a lot out of me to succeed, which it didn't have to if I know what I know now.
And at Coca Cola, what did it teach you?
Coca Cola, what I learned also is the politics at the top. But really, I think at Coca Cola, I never fitted day one.
Is it?
Yeah, no, I never fitted.
So it was not a good move.
Yes, it wasn't a good move personally, but I can tell you on the hindsight, when I look at the good things I'm doing now, is because of the learnings of what I learned at Coca Cola. So it had to happen. If it didn't happen, I think I would have missed something for my for the business that I'm running today.
I'm looking at the three brands: IBM, Avon, and Coca Cola. These are American brands, right?
Yes.
So you are very much shaped by the American culture as well.
Yes.
Especially at the corporate level, because I work for Motorola, and I can relate to what you were telling me about IBM in terms of the online learnings and the RICA of the technical exposure that you go through.
Definitely. So I think I must say I've worked for great brands. I've worked for great leaders. I really was taught and learned and looked after. I tell people that I've really had a successful career. 99% it has been a successful career. Yet it did not come with its own challenges, but like any other leader, you have to experience challenges to become a better person.
But you can relate this to the foundation that you were given in the first 10 years of your life by your parents and the education, and of course also the education you got at Guardian, the discipline
and I think for me it will be, and I don't know whether you're going to ask about my family. I want to wrap this up with my family because it's very important. My own family. Sam, I'm married to an amazing husband. I've got a well-balanced life, beautiful husband who really cared for me, coached me, supported me, and looked after the family. And I think to add it up, I'm blessed with beautiful children. I've got two girls, one boy, 2 grandchildren, and one son-in-law. Now I've got 2 sons and 2 girls. It's an amazing experience. To have a solid foundation like that, and we are a praying family. I've got great friends that we grew up together from some of them from primary, some of them at high school, some of them at university, and up to date we raised our kids together. So I think, and my Christian life, my health, yes, I met serious health challenges in my career, and I was well supported because I've had a very good background. So all that is what made me to be who I am today.
Absolutely. And this is the whole idea of sharing our stories, is so that people can there are people probably who can relate to your story, and there are people probably who says, I wish I had everything of what Maggie had, but we are all unique in our own right. But when you tell the stories, you realize that life has got its own opportunities and challenges, and it depends on how we tackle it. And yours, it looks like from day one, the way you spoke about your parents, that for me is the root of everything.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no, I tell you a lot of people, when I talk with my brothers and my sisters, we always talk about the beautiful foundation we had. And it was never a foundation of money, just foundation of humanity. And really, I always say, our parents used to say, you have yourself, you have you, and the only brand you have is you.
Absolutely.
Nobody else. And that's what carries me. And even my children, I continue to tell them that the only brand you have is yourself. Nobody else can make it for you. And amazingly, I work for companies that respect their brand. So whatever I do, I always remember Coca Cola, I remember IBM, everything that they talk to, if it doesn't align to their brand, they would rather check it. So that also just make me aware that you only, if something that is not aligned to your brand, check it. Don't focus on it, because that brand, it's easy to make it. It's hard to make it, but it's easy to lose it.
Absolutely. Great stuff. Thank you very much. When we come back, I want us to talk about where you are now.
Okay.
I think the entrepreneurship is a totally different ball game, and I'm sure you're going to share with us some insightful stories there as well. We'll be back just now.
Thank you.
Bye.